Welcome back to Speedway Nation. Thanks to Clay Purview. Right around the SEN Network. Hey, Ryan, we're probably going to upset some people here. I want to talk to you about something.
Yes.
What is the best support category? Now, don't get offended, everyone. Support category, I don't mean anything offensive by it. We're obviously aware sprint cars are the showcase category for the sport, and they have their fans. They also have their detractors and people that aren't massive sprint car fans. I get that. But that's the biggest events. That's the showcase events for our sport. If you're a track, your opinion will differ. If you're the fan on the hill, your opinion will differ. If you're the bloke paying out the money at the end of the night, your opinion will also differ.
That's important.
What's the best support category to have on with a big sprint car show? Like we've seen your venue, we've seen the Motorplex do it, where we've got late models and speed cars or super sedans and speed cars, and the payout's ridiculous because they have a higher prize money that they're racing for those categories. Is it better to go the route of some of the tracks down south in Victoria and South Australia where we just have wingless on or we just have street stocks on? There's a lot of stuff to weigh up here.
It is. So, in my experience, just because you put 2 or 3 outstanding divisions on, as you say, late model super sedans, speed cars, even modified sedans, and sprint cars altogether, the extra you pay versus paying a lesser division, a cheaper division, doesn't mean you get that many more people on the hill, believe it or not. In some cases, you do in a perfect world, yes, there is a fraction increase by the quality of the show. But sometimes it doesn't. You have to factor in the racetrack as well. What handles the racetrack and works together. So some places, when it's dusty, hot, in the middle of summer, some racetracks, like street stocks, for example, or the hot rod SDA rods that they have down south that run the opposite direction because they rip up the other ends of the racetrack that they normally don't. But if there's a lot of moisture in your racetrack,
Street stocks are a nightmare.
Street stocks, modified sedans are hard work on a racetrack as well because of the small footprint of the tyre that they have versus the weight of the car. So they dig in with a lot of side bite and actually create waves and ruts on the racetrack. So there's a lot of things to consider. Sprint cars and speed cars work beautifully together, I must say.
They do. It depends if there's a cushion at the top of the racetrack, and
True.
then you start to look at, you mentioned late models with that program as well, Ryan.
Yep.
They take a completely different racetrack to a sprint car. A late model has a lot of mechanical grip. They're happy to drive off the bottom all night long. Mm-hmm. A sprint car, they've got the big top wing, but they might struggle to drive off the bottom if it's super slick, and then we're all just rolling around the fence and we've only got one lane. There's a lot of stuff to weigh up with that.
I have learnt V8 dirt modifieds and late models work perfectly together, very similar kind of race tracks kind of styles. We've seen it at Toowoomba, sprint cars and super sedans. Fantastic to have them on the same building. Very hard to get a racetrack to suit both of them to showcase them as good as you potentially can. So the same racetrack, here's a hint for the people playing along or listening that are sometimes experts and criticals. The same racetrack doesn't suit every single race car or race category. They need different things. We have to give a good sprint car, a big sprint car night, a wonderful feature race. Sometimes we have to prep the track, which will destroy the race before.
Yeah.
And that is the nature of the beast.
And that's not just a Toowoomba issue. That's not just a Perth Motorplex issue. That's not just an Avalon issue. It's an issue across the country. If the main event is the sprint car show, which is the majority of the big events in the country, sometimes the class that's on with them won't have a perfect racetrack. That
suits them, not by choice, just because the track needs to be a certain way to make a spectacle for that other event that's on.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, very, very crazy.
It's a tough deal as well. Like you mentioned, payouts and all that sort of stuff. Some tracks don't have any payouts for support classes. Some tracks pay $80 per car for support classes in appearance money. Some will pay prize money. Sometimes it'll be a series event on. If there's something happens and we need to adjust the timeline of the night, if it's a major event for some of those support classes, it can be a bit of a touchy subject and go, hey, we've got to move your state title for your state-based division to the end of the night. Sometimes that upsets people, but if we're in that spectator sport, the entertainment sport, first and foremost, the main thing that the majority of the fans come and sit on the hill and watch is sprint car racing. It's sometimes a bit of a touchy subject to balance that around that.
Yeah, it is. Very hard, and you don't have to. Well, you're very naive if you're another division and the sprint car feature's finished, and then your feature race is coming out and there's a rush to the turnstile to understand why the people are there. So It's not disrespectful. It's just how it is and how people are. People are busy. People have got to do what they're thing. So it's just how it is. But sprint cars, speed cars, perfect combination, Jared.
They certainly are. And let's be honest, you and I, we're sedan fans from way back. Let's
Yes.
not be disparaging. I love a good sedan race, but we're here to talk about the issues in the sport sometimes on Speedway Nation. It's been a wonderful episode. Thanks for joining us wherever you're tuned in around the country on the SEN Network. And a big thanks to Clay Paview. Get out and see a racetrack this weekend. Get trackside, enjoy yourself, and we'll see you the next fortnight.